Hey, before someone get really hurt, you'll get sued because we Americans won't stand for the abuse. Now, it states here, Reebok is reportedly dropping their endorsement for DiJonai Carrington after she attacked Sophie Cunningham. Let's go. Oh my God, it's getting real. It is getting very much real for in the field, for them pockets.
What you are about to hear is being described as one of the most shocking potential moves in sports marketing. The controversy surrounding DiJonai Carrington Reebok and the WNBA has created a massive debate across the basketball world. This is not simply about a sponsorship deal. It is about reputation, commercial value, and the enormous influence that today's biggest athletes have on global brands. After weeks of heated discussions surrounding physical play, hard fouls, and controversial moments on the court, Carrington has found herself at the center of intense public scrutiny. At the same time, Caitlin Clark continues to dominate headlines as one of the most recognizable and commercially powerful athletes in women's basketball. Online reports and fan speculation have fueled claims that Reebok could move away from Carrington and potentially make Clark a much bigger part of its future basketball strategy. If such a move were officially confirmed, it would represent a major shift in the brand's direction. The player who has become one of the biggest stars in the sport could potentially become the new face of a major athletic campaign. Welcome back, where we break down the biggest stories shaping women's basketball. Hit that like button, subscribe, and let's take a closer look at how this developing controversy could impact DiJonai Carrington, Reebok, and Caitlin Clark.
Black people, but when black people do some foolishness, they gotta be held accountable just like any other damn race. And I'm telling you right now, she need to be held accountable. So Reebok, stick it to her, because what she did was ruined a brand deal like no other. She ain't even all that on the basketball court anyways. Common sense would have told you not to clothesline Sophie Cunningham from hell. Because you want to know why? The backlash you're going to get from that decision will affect your pockets. And I'm so happy that these brands are now seeing what we've been seeing. A whole lot of BS going on from these players. And I'm telling you right now, more players need to lose brand deals when they do stupidity, especially to Caitlin Clark. I don't know who the hell Alyssa Thomas got, but she got somebody. And I'm telling you right now, them brand deals need to be affected and possibly.
To truly understand why this story has generated so much attention, you have to look at the growing debate surrounding physical play in the WNBA. Fans have witnessed several controversial incidents involving hard contact, flagrant fouls, and heated moments between players. The incident involving Sophie Cunningham became another major talking point, while Carrington was also repeatedly mentioned in online discussions about aggressive play. Critics questioned whether certain plays had crossed the line, while supporters argued that physical basketball is simply part of the game. Regardless of where people stand, the controversy created enormous attention across social media. That attention matters because professional athletes are not only competing for wins, they are also representing major commercial brands. Companies closely monitor public perception, audience engagement, and the overall value of their athletes. Caitlin Clark, meanwhile, has continued to attract massive attention, sell merchandise, draw huge audiences, and generate unprecedented interest in women's basketball. That makes her an extremely attractive option for any global sports brand looking to expand its reach. However, claims that Reebok has officially terminated Carrington's contract or transferred her deal directly to Clark should be treated as unconfirmed unless Reebok or the players officially announce them. If Reebok does eventually make a major move toward Clark, it could become one of the biggest endorsement developments in women's basketball, and it could completely change the commercial conversation surrounding both athletes.
To drop the endorsement for DiJonai Carrington after she attacked Sophie Cunningham. Now this was from earlier this morning. Oh yes. Now this right here was from this morning as well. So as you guys can see, there might be a little merit to this argument. Just might be. DiJonai Carrington has cast a check that has written a check she just can't cash. Now, Emmanuel Acho had some words for DJ.
First and foremost, respect to DiJonai, because I actually appreciate somebody that can come to a conversation with a little bit of intellect. So I appreciate that first and foremost. Kudos to you, DiJonai Carrington. And also, I do not stand with those that are coming at you and attacking your personhood. Attack the action, but don't attack the person. So let me also preface with that. With that being said, DiJonai, you can't act as though you discovered the moon. You can't act as though you are the genius in the room and everybody else is idiotic. What I mean by that is, if you are going to suggest that we should think critically about a statement, white privilege, when you at the Indiana Fever, you didn't give us much to think critically about. You uttered a phrase, white privilege, of which is both incredibly inflammatory and also a very volatile word, but you didn't give us any context. So now we, as the interpreter, since you posted it publicly on Threads for the world to see, we, the interpreter, now have to try to figure out what exactly were you talking about. Well, common sense would deduce that you were talking about fouling a white individual and getting ejected for fouling that white individual. Now, as I said on social media and I will say in real life, if that is not what you were talking about implying, then that's on me. I will stand down and I will stand corrected. But the last thing I must again reiterate, we live in a speaker-oriented country. Speaker-oriented, receiver-oriented. Speaker-oriented country. It is on you, the speaker, to be clear, to be direct, and to be obvious with what you are speaking about. It is not on the receiver, the reader, or the listener. If we were in a listener-oriented country, completely different. Onus is on me. America is a speaker-oriented country, so the onus is on you if you want to.
If Reebok were to secure Caitlin Clark, the company would not simply be changing one athlete for another, it would be making a major statement about its future marketing strategy. What began as a controversy could potentially become a major promotional opportunity for the brand. However, claims that Carrington was informed of a cancellation through media leaks, experienced a backstage meltdown, or had her signature line immediately replaced by Clark have not been independently confirmed. Those details should therefore be treated as speculation rather than established fact. What is clear is that the commercial side of professional basketball can change quickly when an athlete's public profile and marketability become major factors. Caitlin Clark has built enormous commercial momentum without needing to engage in personal attacks or public drama. Her focus has remained largely on basketball, performance, and growing her influence. That contrast is exactly why a potential Reebok partnership with Clark would generate so much discussion. In sports business, brands are constantly looking for athletes who can attract audiences, create positive engagement, and strengthen their long-term identity.
You are the genius in a room and everybody else is idiotic. What I mean by that is, if you are going to suggest that we should think critically about a statement, white privilege, when you at the Indiana Fever, you didn't give us much to think critically about. You uttered a phrase, white privilege, of which is both incredibly inflammatory and also a very volatile word, but you didn't give us any context. So now we, as the interpreter, since you posted it publicly on Threads for the world to see, we, the interpreter, now have to try to figure out what exactly were you talking about. Well, common sense would deduce that you were talking about fouling a white individual and getting ejected for fouling that white individual. Now, as I said on social media and I will say in real life, if that is not what you were talking about implying, then that's on me. I will stand down and I will stand corrected. But the last thing I must again reiterate, we live in a speaker-oriented country. Speaker-oriented, receiver-oriented. Speaker-oriented country. It is on you, the speaker, to be clear, to be direct, and to be obvious with what you are speaking about. It is not on the receiver, the reader, or the listener. If we were in a listener-oriented country, completely different. Onus is on me. America is a speaker-oriented country, so the onus is on you if you want to tweet out white privilege with no context and simply assume that we should try to understand what you're talking about. You didn't say much for us to figure out what you're talking about, so you allowed the whole world to run with it. Last thing I will say is very simply, so many people have asked you, amongst others, well then what are you talking about? We still have yet to get a response. All that DiJonai, you have told us is, hey, I wasn't talking about the foul. Well then, what were you talking about? I refuse to believe, on behalf of everybody that is confused, we're not all idiots and you are the one genius in the room. That's just not the case. So I say this with all respect. I respect your intelligence. I respect your response. And you currently on the court hooping, so respect to you. But there's still a lot of errors in your thought process and thought pattern.
So that was Emmanuel Acho. Now, Fox News had a situation to where they wasn't backing down either with DiJonai Carrington. Let me play a little bit of this right here. So this was Fox News this morning speaking about this DiJonai Carrington situation. And let's give it a buzz.
just responding to the white privilege post, saying in part, I've never once claimed that the assessment of the foul was white privilege. That was your assumption. Try exercising your critical thinking skills. I know you studied psych. I would never use that term as a rhetorical weapon, knowing the historical and social weight it holds without having the proper evidence to substantiate it. Sage, she posted that and is now claiming it didn't apply to the foul that was called or the ejection. I mean,
my goodness. Well, all the evidence that we need is right there on X, where she posted it and tagged the Indiana Fever just 30 minutes after she was rightfully ejected after this flagrant 2 foul. But you know what? We should not be surprised at this point, Laura, considering the way that this league is being led. If the commissioner of the WNBA refuses to stand up for women, to define a woman, she probably should not be leading a women's basketball league. But that is the problem. No leadership. I mean, this is crisis PR 101, right? You own the issue. They deep down know they've screwed it up. You explain it, and then you describe exactly what you're going to do to fix it. Quickly, they have gotten themselves into this position. What you said is exactly right. They deserve all of the criticism that they are receiving for simply refusing to.
Another major part of this controversy involves the debate surrounding the phrase white privilege in comments connected to the Indiana Fever. Critics argued that the statement was too vague and lacked sufficient context, leaving audiences to interpret what the speaker meant. The criticism became even stronger because the post appeared publicly and was connected by many viewers to a controversial foul and ejection. Carrington later clarified that she was not claiming the specific foul itself was an example of white privilege and challenged people to use critical thinking skills before making assumptions about her meaning. That clarification, however, did not end the debate. Critics continued to argue that the original statement required more explanation, while supporters maintained that the public had jumped to conclusions without knowing the full context. The controversy was then amplified by television commentators and social media discussions, turning one post into a much broader argument about race, communication, sports, and accountability. Whatever side people take, the episode demonstrates how quickly a short social media statement can become a national sports story. And what did Caitlin Clark do throughout all of this? She largely stayed focused on basketball rather than becoming involved in the public back and forth. She did not need to win the argument online or create additional drama. Her growing popularity, commercial appeal, and on-court performance have already made her one of the biggest names in women's sports. If Reebok eventually chooses to make Clark a centerpiece of its basketball marketing strategy, it would be a significant business decision, but the reported details of any contract change should only be treated as fact once officially confirmed. The bigger lesson is that modern sports sponsorships are driven by much more than what happens during a game. Public perception, fan engagement, brand identity, performance, and commercial potential all play a role. So, what do you think? If Reebok officially chose Caitlin Clark over DiJonai Carrington, would it be a smart business move? Could Clark become one of the most influential faces in sports marketing? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more WNBA coverage and analysis.